Oh yeah, what's up GameLeapers? This is Coach Heath, and in today's upload, I don't know if you guys heard, but the changes for patch 12.9, well, they haven't been officially released yet, but we do have some of the changes right here for you, and we will go through the listed champion buffs and nerfs, champion adjustments, and the system nerfs too. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about in this video, so make sure you stick around for the whole thing. And as always, guys, if you want to master any champion on this game, if you want to perfect any of the 5 roles, make sure you check out the GameLeap website, linked in the description and comment section, because our challenger players and coaches are making a ton of videos for our subscribers, and we have thousands of them, so why not join the club and sign up to get that exclusive access? Now let's get into this video. So we're going to start by talking about the buffs that are coming into 12.9, and there are 4 champions on the balanced team's radar, these being Hecarim, Varus, Braum, and Thresh. And for Hecarim, ever since he got nerfed a couple of patches ago, he has easily been one of the worst champions in the game. His base damage going down has meant that the Chem Tank Hecarim build, which was by far the best, is no longer viable, and if you go Divine Sunder or Trinity Force, you are just lacking damage, and because it's not as tanky as Chem Tank, you are very killable. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Riot didn't actually hotfix buff Hecarim because he was so bad after they changed him, but this is good to see, definitely warranted, I think. Now Varus is a champion who's very sketchy for Riot to buff, because if they buff him too much, he will get picked a lot in pro play because he offers great priority in the lane and also offers a lot of utility with his amazing ultimate. So it will definitely be interesting to see what the buff to Varus will be, because Riot have buffed his AP and his on hit, so if you were to go something like Nash's Tooth, but the issue for Varus is that you just don't hit hard enough, and compared to the best AD carries like Vayne and Lucian, he really pales in comparison. So this buff, or these buffs to Varus that will come in, I think they're definitely warranted, but we'll have to wait and see what these will be. Now the other 2 champions getting buffed are Braum and Thresh, and Braum, I think, yeah, okay, you can probably give him a buff. I mean, I'm not sure if he really needs one, but Thresh, on the other hand, definitely needs one because he's been nerfed so much this season and has really fallen out of favor in every single elo. His win rates have dropped drastically, a bit like Hecarim. So Thresh being on this list definitely makes sense, and just like the others, it will certainly be interesting to see what the buffs will be. Now, as far as the champions who are getting nerfed, guys, in 12.9, so why don't we start with the nerf that we actually know about, and this is the Scion. So to all of you the bounce wannabes out there, so 12.9 might be a bit of a sad patch. So what Riot have done, they've actually reduced your zombie damage, so your passive damage to towers, from 50% to 40%. So to those of you who are playing Scion in the top lane and really just relying on running it down, literally, to get the enemy's towers because of your passive, this strategy where you're just going to get less gold because you're not hitting the towers as hard. Now, will this completely cuck the bounce strategy on Scion? Well, we'll have to wait and see. So if any of you Scion mains out there are watching this video, I'd love to know your hot take in the comment section. But I would also recommend to all of you Scion mains to wait until the end of this video when we get into one of the item nerfs hitting the patch in 12.9. Now, the other nerf champions here. Now, we might have another top laner in the form of Rengar who's getting nerfed. Now, Riot haven't specified whether it's top lane Rengar or jungle Rengar, but I'm guessing it's probably going to lean more towards jungle because it's more popular. But again, unless it's something specific about jungle monsters, it probably will affect the top lane as well. And this is probably justified because Rengar is killing it at the moment. Ever since those changes came into the champion, the stacks lasting longer, your Q now being able to critically strike, there's just so many things going for Rengar, so it will be interesting to see what exactly the nerfs are. Now moving on to 2 other junglers who are getting nerfed in 12.9. One of these is Master Yi, and the other one is Nidalee. Now Nidalee, after getting buffed a few times this season, it's risky for Riot because in pro play, she might get picked and banned permanently. And as far as Master Yi goes, even though Riot have completely demolished the Dustblade build, the Kraken side rush for Master Yi is still a little bit too scary in lower elos. So I don't know if a Riot had a really bad experience against a Master Yi one trick, because that might be what it seems, especially with Ignite and Smite. This champion's win rates in the lower elos is around 55-56%, so that might be what they're targeting, but again, we'll have to wait and see until tomorrow. Now the other 2 champions getting nerfed in 12.9, well, one of these is Ahri, and Ahri has been the premier mid laner for the entire season. Ever since Riot reworked her kit towards the start of the season, she has been killing it. Picked and banned in pro play, unbelievable in solo queue, no hard counters. She is the ultimate mid laner. Because your Spirit Rush, you're going to get more charges of these when you get takedowns, because your abilities are dealing more damage, because your W is prioritizing the enemy champions, and when you pair all of this with a mythic item like Everfrost, which is really cheap, 2800 gold, she is a scary champion at all stages of a game. So Ahri getting nerfed again, I'm honestly really surprised it took this long, but I think there is definitely reason behind this. And the other one is Renata Glask, and for Renata, ever since her inception really into League of Legends, she's been a very strong support, whether it's because of her Zillion ultimate in her W, or her ultimate itself, which is going to force the enemy champions to attack one another. This can just solo win team fights for the team with the Renata on it, and it also pairs really well with AoE abilities. So if we think of J4's ultimate, the Cataclysm, if we think of Vladimir's Hemo Plague, there's a lot of deadly combinations with this champion, and she has potions poke, she has peel, she has shield, she has so much going for her, really good win rates across all elos, so this also seems justified. Now, as far as the champion adjustments go, guys, for 12.9, this is kind of exciting stuff, and there are 3 adjustments coming in. Now, in tomorrow's 2 videos we're going to do a tier list video based on the changes that get released, and we're also going to do a top champions video. So in those videos, I will go more in depth into these changes and what they're going to mean, but the 3 champions getting adjusted are Olaf, Talia, and Pyke in the mid lane. So Olaf's ultimate has really been the big talking point, so even though the AD ratio is going to get lowered from 30% to 25% in terms of the attack damage you get, the thing is that hitting a champion with an attack or reckless swing, it's going to extend Ragnarok's duration by 2.5 seconds. So can you imagine this? As Olaf, when you get into the enemy backline and you're swinging like crazy, you will have your ultimate pretty much until the fight ends. It's not going to run out, and because of this, it's a huge buff on paper, and I can't wait to see what it's going to do on the Rift. I mean, it might be a bad thing, but it's definitely going to be intriguing, so keep your eyes on this. Now, Talia is also getting changed, and the big one is that your Q is now going to be AoE. So imagine for clearing jungle camps, and there's been a lot of clips going around about Talia's one-shotting Raptors in the early game when she has 0 item. Now, no doubt Ryan will definitely address this, but she is another champion getting adjusted, and it might even open her up to the support role a bit more, maybe the mid lane. You never know, you might even play her in the top lane as a ranged champion who can counter a lot of the melee champions you see, so she is another one to keep your eye on. Now, the other adjustment is coming to Pyke in the mid lane, and on the PBE right now, the damage stored in your passive near multiple enemies is increased from 40% to 45%. Now, your bone skewer, your Q, the mana cost is increasing, actually by quite a lot, so it's going up by 50% at rank 1. So in the early game, you're not going to be able to spam this as much, and this will depreciate in terms of the mana cost the later the game goes and the more points you have in Q, and you are maxing this first, so it won't be that impactful as the game progresses. But in the early game, level 1, 2, 3, you're going to have to keep in mind how much mana you're using for your combos. And the other change coming into Pyke, well, that's actually a buff, and this is to your ultimate death from below. So the cooldown is getting lowered from 120 seconds, 120 seconds, and 100 seconds at each rank to 115, which is 5 less at rank 1, 100, which is 20 seconds less at rank 2, and then 85, which is 15 seconds less at rank 3. This means that Pyke's, especially if you go Axiom Arc, and for Pyke as a support, you could always think of going Glaive and then Axiom Arc, which is going to lower the ultimate's cooldown even more. So these changes to Pyke are certainly going to spark some ideas and some build crafting in the Pyke mains Reddit, and if any of you have some interesting builds based on these changes, let me know in the comment section. So those were the champion adjustments, guys, and the last thing we have to talk about for 12.9, and this is Hullbreaker, thank God. I mean, oh no, what a shame. So what Riot are doing to Hullbreaker, you know how like Sion's kind of taking over at the moment? Well, they're actually making Hullbreaker so that only attacks deal bonus damage to towers, because at the moment your abilities deal bonus damage to towers based on Hullbreaker's passive. So from 12.9 onwards, it's only going to be your attacks. So in other words, your auto attacks or your abilities that are on attack. This means that for a bunch of champions in the top lane, their split pushing power is not going to be what it was based on taking towers, but the item is such a massive stat stick still, and it's still 2,800 gold. So to be honest, I don't think this is going to change all that much. Yes, you might not get towers as quick as you once were, but it just gives you way too much in terms of the gold for the stats, and I'd love to know what you guys think of this Hullbreaker change, so let me know in the comments. And that was the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like down below if you did enjoy the video, and until tomorrow's tier list and top champions video based on the 12.9 changes, this has been Coach. Peace.